The outer work will never be great if the inner work is small. Your first responsibility is to take care of yourself. Journey first, and all other relationships will follow. We're always supported by the ancestors, those who have gone beyond us. Hold the ancestors as being with you all the time. They are a resource. Elderhood is incredibly important. Elders have maturity, gravitas, and containment. If you are going to be going into the world with a mystic, you better be serious. You don't fuck around with a mystery. You are doing it not just for yourself. You are doing it for those who have come before you, for those who will be coming after you, and for the people in the communities that you care about and you love.
Before I get into all the different questions I have about the heavy conflicts you've gotten into, how do you stay balanced and keep your sanity? Your site says that you have a habit of climbing a mountain every day. Is that literal? Do you meditate? Do you have daily practices? And then I know that you're a passionate bird watcher, which I'm sure fills you with lots of joy and energy. So talk to us about how you recharge your batteries when you're dealing with conflict all the time.
Mm. Well, uh, I have certain quotes in my life that have been really important, and I kind of hang myself on them. It's a shorthand that keeps me going, and I
Hmm.
put myself at the feet of masters, right? And one of the quotes is also by Meister Eckhart, who said, the outer work will never be great if the inner work is small. So I fervently believe that if you are going to be out in the world doing the kind of work that I do, you have a primary responsibility, no matter what, to take care of your inner life first. Another quote that I believe, I had a great teacher. Her name was Angelis Arian. She was a great spiritual leader and was actually the spiritual leader of the Basque people.
Wow.
And there's a Basque expression that she would say, which is journey first and all other relationships will follow. Meaning your first responsibility is to take care of yourself. Your first responsibility is to manage yourself. And so I do a few things that keep me on the beam. The first is I do meditate every day. I don't follow like TM specifically or
Hmm.
insight meditation specifically, but I really do spend quiet time every day uh, in contemplation and a little bit of prayer and in breathing and tracking my breathing and letting go. Uh, Always it starts with the breathing and then it moves to a place of gratitude and listening. And then I always said what I would call a life affirming intention for the day, a life affirming. So, what is something I'm going to do today that is going to move me forward? That's one thing that I always do. Because I had quintuple bypass surgery at 42, I do climb a mountain every day. It's not a Colorado mountain and it's not a California mountain, but it's way bigger than the mountains in Florida. I'll just say that. And it's about 3,000 feet, and it's a place that I've gone up thousands of times, and I know extremely well. And it's called Packmanadnock, and it's in the oldest state park in New Hampshire, and which is where I live, and I could see it as I look out the
Hmm.
window here. It's there, so it's something very close to me, and it's a place that gives me a chance to go inward and think and exercise my body, which is also really important to me. I am a passionate birder, which gets me looking this way, but more importantly, I balance that. I'm a passionate gardener, and I have, and all manner of money and time goes into my garden, which used to be about what it looked like. And now I'm finding that it's not just an artistic endeavor, it's having my hands in the dirt and all that does to recharge me psychologically and physically. And that if I so choose to do so, and I do, that the plants do have something to teach me, and I listen and I connect, and it's my way of connecting in the natural world. Um, I also have a particular practice that I've been following since the pandemic, which has been very useful to me. Uh, like most people, and I'm now speaking as someone who's almost 70, as a male, the first thing that I would normally do when I woke up in the morning is trundle off to the bathroom. And I would take my phone with me, my other mistress. And I'd sit and I'd go through my emails or I'd look at the news and I would start my day with a kind of a twist in my belly that was really uncomfortable. So now what I do is I'm very disciplined. I do something called I call it circles of care,
Okay.
which is the first thing that I do is I wake up and I just take a few minutes to do some quiet reflection and setting an intention for the day and settling myself. Focus on self. Then I go to the next level and I think about my wife who is next to me, a little Jack Russell Terrier who is next to me. And I think about my kids and my friends and then my family. And I send out love and regard to them. And then, and only then, after I prepared myself for the day, do I then reach for my phone and I go to look at emails and news and the things that are going to get me sort of moving into my day. So all of those practices help almost like a smorgasbord. I use them to keep me moving in a good direction and keep me balanced. Because if I don't, I find that you can get brittle and you can get crispy at the edges. And I'm sure a lot of your listeners know what that's like to be overwhelmed. But it helps me to be in the flow of things.
I think that most successful people have a practice like this. I, like you, I meditate every day, and I started meditating. An American Indian taught me when I was in my early 20s.
Mm,
We actually went into the woods, we chopped down a tree. His students, we created a meditation bench. It was mainly TM, but I have this gadget that I put on, and it's a guided meditation. And I also have a chair with these magnets called a shift wave, and there's 100 different guided meditations of all sorts. But I also start the day, I have a animal spirit deck with 72 different cards. So I
mm,
pick one and I meditate on that particular animal. And then I have a card, also 72, but it's the 72 Hebrew names of God, which are represented on that painting right behind me. So I'll pick one of the cards and then I will say it out loud in front of there. I'll find it and I reflect all day on that one attribute. It could be mercy, it could be courage, it could be faith, it could be humility, whatever it is. And then also the energy of that particular animal. And there's different animals that represent earth, fire, air. But then also, I live on a 23-mile beach. So
mm.
walking barefoot for 10,000 steps on the beach is just tremendously relaxing, and it lets your mind flow before you get into the whirlwind of your life. What I'm going to learn, I just heard this from someone as a practice. Both his parents died some time ago. I actually interviewed him on this podcast, and he talks to his parents every single day.
Mm,
And I have a picture of my mom behind me, but I have a picture of my mom and dad on my night table. Actually, also my father-in-law, who I'm very close to, and they've all passed. So, starting a practice, and I wanted to ask you one other area because you talked about going inward, and I have done many spiritual journeys with shamans and other spirit guides. And I've never done it for pleasure. I've always done it for inner work, and it's literally transformed my life. I've had an opportunity to do it with my 4 children, also guided them all personally. Tell us about that because I know that you work also with indigenous people, and you have also gone on your own spirit journeys. And I'd just like to know how that's influenced your life.
mm. Well, that's had actually a huge influence on my life. I became connected with Native communities in North America, principally when I was in my mid 20s. So it's been that long. I have been traveling up to northern Canada to the Agama Anishinaabe, people of the deep water on Lake Temagami for many, many years and have been an adopted member into that community. The medicine woman of that community is like a sister to me and a great friend. And I have been privileged to have been part of many ceremonies where I have been invited into initiatory moments. And it has taught me a great deal, as you can imagine. here would be a few things that I've gained from those experiences, whether they've been in sweat lodges or time on the land, which you would call a vision quest, or the Anishinaabe would call going up on the hill, or in other ceremonial dances, particularly out west where I've done it with the Lakota. But here are a few things that I've learned. Uh, the first, and I think this is really important, is that we are, as you were referencing earlier, always supported by the ancestors. We're always supported by those who have gone beyond us. And one of the things that I think is wonderful that your friend does, and I do as well, is to hold the ancestors as being with you all the time. They're there all the time with you, and they are a resource, and you can ask them. In fact, in the islands in the Pacific, there is a prayer that is done, and the prayer is based on the belief that your ancestors are always with you. And they say this prayer to you. There's a wish that they have, and the wish is, may this be the one, may this be the one who breaks all the old binding family patterns. You know, whether it's alcoholism or abuse or whatever, may this be the one. And so the belief is our ancestors are always there. And I don't believe in the West, we call on them enough. And I think that's one of the things that I really learned. The second, of course, is we live in a very youth generated culture right now, but native traditions, elderhood is incredibly important. And elderhood is different than being old or elderly. Elders have maturity, they have gravitas, and they have containment, right? These are all three things that they have. And that elders are deeply respected. And we listen to the wisdom of what those elders are and to bring those voices in. And then there's a third thing. My friend, Virginia McKenzie, who is the medicine woman of the people of Bear Island, to watch her in ceremony is an extraordinary joy because she doesn't take it too seriously. She kind of flips in and out of ordinary and non-ordinary time. She flips in and out of like really serious because she's
Right.
calling in serious power, but then can be laughing and joking and teasing in almost the same breath. And I have been in the holiest of holies for her, which would be a sweat lodge. And she's pouring water in there, and then she'll reach out and says, "Excuse me, I need to get some sacred medicine." And she'll bring a can of Pepsi in, and she'll drink a little bit. She'll pour it on the rocks, or she'll say some prayer, and then she'll lean back, and then she'll start to laugh about showing the people a beaver shot in the sweat lodge, which you can't really see because it's dark anyway. I mean, it's just don't take it all too seriously because humor is really it's all about detachment. And humor is really one of our greatest ways to detach. And those lessons guided me.
Since we were in India, I got inspired by Gandhi's many 21-day fast, and I went on a 7-day water fast, water only,
Wow.
for 7 days. And it was transformational. And I did it on Father's Day. So it was a gift to me. In the last 33 days, I've had no processed food of any kind, no sugar, and I feel fabulous just eating like real, real food. I've been cooking too, which I never do. My wife doesn't particularly like it because I make a disaster of the kitchen, and I'm eating all these things that I never ate before that I love. But you've done fast also, right?
I have, yes, yes. I've done a number of fasts on the land, probably a dozen over time. There were two that were instrumental in really changing my life. The first was I fell in love with my wife about 35 years ago. I lived in Philadelphia. She lived in New Hampshire. She had two small children, 5 and 3, joint custody. And she said, if you want me, it's a package deal. You got to move to this little town in New Hampshire. And even though she was extraordinary and is the love of my life, I hemmed and hawed. And then I went and I spent 4 days fasting in the desert of Arizona, high mountains of Arizona, with one essential thing came across after the fourth day, which was you have two choices in life. You can choose the path of fear or you can choose the path of love. I chose the path of love, immediately got on a plane, flew up and proposed on top of the mountain that I now walk up. every day as part of my daily meditation practice. So that was the life changer. And then there was another one that has always been a great teaching for me, which is I remember I did a 4-day fast in northern Canada, and in that tradition, you don't find a place, you are given a place, and you're set on that place. And the medicine woman sent her son, James, to take me up to this top, and he starts cutting. And they had been in the middle of a drought at that time, and so there were no fires allowed, and it was a really hard time for the area. And he took me up to the top of this hill, a bluff, climbed up the top, and in their tradition they make a hogan, a place that you stay. And so he cuts it, he puts two branches together, and then he looks at me and goes, "So, Dave, you serious?" I said, "Excuse me, Jamie? Just, you serious?" I said, uh, uh, about what?" He goes, "Well, your time on the land. Are you serious?" I said, "Yeah, I'm serious. How come?" "Oh, what do you mean, how come? How come?" "Well, it's my life, and I'm freaking serious about my life." "Oh, okay." And then he starts cutting more branches. And I look at him and I said, "Jamie, what are you doing? What's this about?" He goes, "Oh, you see, the spirits, they fly overhead, and they see the quality of your lodge. And if it's beautifully made, then they know you're serious, and they'll come and visit you. So I need to know, are you serious?" And I said yes, and he made the lodge. And as soon as he made the lodge, as soon as it was finished, huge thunderstorms started rolling in. He says, "Okay, Dave, gotta go." Off he went, and it rained for 4 straight days, and it broke the drought. And so when I came home, and you come back into a sweat lodge and then you come back to a feast, it was one of the most humbling experiences I'd ever had, sitting at a table and people started knocking on the door.
You're like a
And then
hero.
I was like
Like,
a hero. And they
you
came
know?
in and they all knew I was out there. And they all came in and they just said, "Miigwech, thank you. Chi miigwech, many thanks. Thank you, Dave. Chi miigwech, thank you for what you did for our people. Thank you for what you did for the land." About 40 people came through.
And where
So
was this?
this was in Lake Tamagami on
Like in
Bear
Canada?
Island in Canada. So you can imagine how humbling that was. And what I really got from that experience is two things. One, if you are going to be going into the world of the mystic, if you're going to be invoking them, whatever the languages you want to use, you better be serious. I'm not sure if I can use certain language on this podcast, but let me just say it. You don't fuck around with a mystery. If you fuck around with a mystery, you're going to get hammered. That was the first thing I learned. And then the second is we think we do this work by ourselves, but we are always being supported and guided and engaging in the communities in which we're in. And then when you do spiritual work, you are doing it not just for yourself. You are doing it for those who have come before you, for those who will be coming after you, and for the people in the communities that you care about and you love. And if you use that as an anchor, it will take you through harder times.